The patrol expected a battlefield. Shell casings, bodies in shallow snow, the usual frozen wreckage of the Eastern Front. Instead, they found silence. According to the buried report, the German outpost was intact, but everything inside was covered in black ice. In the courtyard, they found an entire Wehrmacht unit standing in a perfect circle of worship, frozen solid. And at the center of that circle was a drilling pit, blasted open from below. This is the story of Projekt Eisgrab. It's a legend that begins with documented history but descends into a nightmare that history tried to erase. It asks a terrifying question. What if the Nazi obsession with the cold wasn't just about science, but about waking something up? To understand how this nightmare began, we have to go back to Dachau in 1942. Inside the concentration camp, Nazi doctors began one of history's most monstrous series of experiments. They forced over 300 prisoners into tanks of ice water or strapped them down in the freezing cold. Dr. Sigmund Roscher was at the center of it. An ambitious and cruel SS doctor, he reported directly to Heinrich Himmler. The official goal was to find better treatments for German pilots downed in the freezing North Sea. Roscher meticulously recorded their agonizing deaths, charting their heart rates and body temperatures until the end. But behind this veneer of wartime science was a strange obsession that consumed his boss, Heinrich Himmler. Himmler was a fervent believer in the occult and a champion of the Welteisslehre, or world ice theory. This discredited theory claimed that ice was the fundamental building block of the universe and held immense forgotten power. It is this fanatical belief that creates the perfect backdrop for the legend of Roscher's next, far more secret project. This is where the legend of Projekt Eisgrab, or Project Icegrave, takes over. According to scattered references and lost journals, Roscher's work didn't just end in Dachau. Instead, his entire operation was supposedly moved to a desolate, unnamed sector of the Eastern Front. The justification was to study a deposit of ancient black ice unlike any known glacier. But in the story's most compelling element, a recovered journal from Roscher, a different purpose emerges. One entry reads, "Himmler was right. The ice here is alive. It is crystalline, structured in patterns that defy geometry. At a depth of 50 meters, we found it, a presence. It resonates, humming at a frequency that drives the dogs mad. The local partisans speak of a pale king sleeping beneath the ice. Superstition, but there is something here." In this narrative, the experiments start again, but with a new variable, the black ice itself. Roscher began exposing subjects to fragments of it. His journal entries shift from clinical observation to unnerved speculation, describing a phenomenon called resonant cryotransference. Subject D113 was placed in the cryo chamber with a fragment. His body temperature dropped to 25 degrees Celsius, clinically dead. But the EEG remained active, rhythmic. The subject began to speak, in a guttural language, of a crown of frost and a kingdom of silence. The cold is not just killing them, it is creating a conduit. The horror of Projekt Eisgrab is the realization that the Nazis were no longer in control. The story grows darker with a recovered audio log, allegedly captured when all communication from the facility failed. In the recording, a voice identified as Roscher's can be heard over heavy static. Protocol is abandoned. Containment is the only priority. Subject D117, D119, they are no longer deceased. The rewarming, it is not reanimation, it is transformation. We hear a voice inside our heads, a whisper from the cold. The king is waking. The ice, it's spreading. It's not melting, It's growing. In this tale, the test subjects were no longer human. They were silent, super strong, and immune to cold. Roscher believed he could create the ultimate super soldier. Instead, he had created puppets for an ancient intelligence. The experiment had become a siege. The line between documented history and speculative horror is where some of the most fascinating what-ifs live. These legends force us to confront the known atrocities of the past while wondering what chilling stories they might inspire. If you want to hear more stories from the darkest corners of our past, take a moment to subscribe and click the notification bell. Your support allows us to keep digging. The legend's climax is pieced together from the aftermath. When the relief unit finally arrived, they found the compound entombed in a thick shell of black crystalline ice. The bodies of the soldiers and scientists were found frozen solid, not in poses of combat, but disturbingly arranged in that circle of worship we saw at the start. All were facing the central drilling pit, which had been blasted open from below. Its metal casing was peeled back like the petals of a dead flower, and of the test subjects and Sigmund Roscher himself, there was no sign. The official story was a cover-up, a partisan attack, and extreme weather. But the legend insists that the Third Reich couldn't admit that one of its top-secret projects was consumed by a power it had foolishly tried to harness. The history we know records a fitting end for Sigmund Roscher. In 1945, he was executed in Dachau by Himmler's orders for fraud, just days before the camp's liberation. But the story of Projekt Eisgrab lingers. To make the tale even more tantalizing, some storytellers point to a final claim that in 1998, a satellite detected a thermal void, a spot of intense, inexplicable cold at the coordinates of the lost facility. The official history is written in ink, but in the stories we tell about the darkest parts of our past, we are left to wonder. What if a man as evil as Sigmund Roscher had found something truly ancient in the ice? And what if, in the chilling silence of some forgotten landscape, it's still waiting?